So from that, I kind of got discouraged and I left music alone. What I ended up doing, I got with a buddy of mine and we started a podcast called The Ground Floor Show. It was a Christian hip hop podcast because I figured, well, since I'm not doing music, maybe I can help people who were doing a different type of music. I had kids. I didn't want them listening to the crazy stuff that was out there at the time. I'm like, well, this is some positive stuff. It's good for you. It's good for your soul. Why not try to support it? Why not try to help further it? Because at the time, there was no radio stations playing that kind of music and it was hard to find it. You couldn't go buy it anywhere. You couldn't even stream it for real because streaming was brand new. So I'm like, why don't we create something? And podcasting was relatively new because we ended up starting the podcast in 2007. Now everybody's doing podcasts now, but back then we were, again, me part of that as well. When I say we, we're kind of ahead of the curve. Like everybody's doing it now, but back then wasn't nobody doing it. And we were at the beginning, I would say forefront, not only doing podcasts, but doing podcasts in that genre of music. So we did that probably about 10 years, man. We did that. I also had started a online streaming radio service called the Royal Radio Network. And from there, I not only was able to further help share that music, but also I was able to meet and network with DJs that played that genre that were all over the world, from Africa to the UK to different places throughout the United States. You name it, I would get their shows that they did, their mix shows, and I would run them in syndication on the show. On our station. And it's streamed online either through our website. The company that we worked with, they gave us a free Android and iOS app. So we had Android and iOS apps for the Royal Radio Network. I mean, we had some stuff going on. Not to mention we were still doing the podcast, and we would get into doing video podcasts as well at the same time we were doing the audio. And we were taking call in through Skype. So yeah, I mean, it was good times. It was good times. But the music though. So I believe my son was in middle school, and this is what kind of sparked me to get back into production. He had some kind of project, don't remember what it was, but what I did to help him with his project, I actually created a record label as an actual LLC to aid him in his project. Because I figure if you ever do anything with music, it's nothing like having your own versus depending on somebody else or getting something through somebody else. So I created that actual entity. I didn't create, but I got an account with a DSP, Ditto Music. We'll talk about Ditto in a minute. But when I did that, like I said, I set that up. And from there, he actually recorded his own song and released it online. And I was shocked because I didn't even know the boy could rap. How about that? So when I found that out, I'm like, man, I should get back into doing music, because it was just an inspiration to me, because him being young as he was, and he had the wherewithal to actually put something like that together and put it out there. He did the production, he rapped on the whole thing and put it out there. I was like, minimally I could put a beat together just to be doing it, you know. So excuse me. So yeah, so I got back into doing production to a certain degree. What I ended up doing really was I did research for probably about a year, because I was like, should I get back in? Should I do the same kind of music that I was doing in the past? Should I use Reason, which I was using after I used FL Studio? What else? What other apps are people using? What other programs or equipment are people using? So from there, I got online. I started looking up stuff, and I found, who did I find? Oh, number one, I found out that Reason had a new version, and it was using plugins, had VST support. You could record within Reason. Before, older version that I had wasn't recording in Reason. So you did whatever you did through MIDI, and that was it. You wasn't recording audio or anything. But now they had the support. They had the rack extensions. I'm like, oh, this is dope. So I went ahead and got the newest version of Reason. From there, I started getting back into production. And then shortly thereafter, I started finding some people online who did a lot of tutorials, but they shared a lot of information regarding music, aspects of the music business. One of those being Curtis King, and another being as an artist online, producer online, Sarah, the instrumentalist. I followed her, and I noticed that she used something called Machine, and she used this thing. She had this. I'm like, what is this thing? So I started messing around, looking online and trying to figure out what that was. and she did more of your boom bap, Ninth Wonder type style, lo-fi stuff. She was using that, and she was using the SP404. So I'm like, man, so it's people not only still using or doing the type of music that I like and that I used to do. Then they renamed what it was back then from boom bap. They renamed it to a certain degree as being lo-fi. So I'm like, all right, cool. Oh, then I had found Stolen Drums. So shout out to Stolen Drums. Shout out to Sarah the Instrumentalist, because those are people who were kind of an inspiration to me to get back into it. So after seeing that, I said, okay, yeah, I'm gonna get back into it. So I started get my chops up, like they used to say when you play drums.